Good morning. This is the 19th of August and the Richland County Board of Commissioners are in session. I'm Darrell Banks, Cliff Mears, Tony Vero, other commissioners. And our clerks today are Stacy Fowler, head clerk, and Heather Toman, assistant clerk. Andrew Keller, our administrator, county administrator, and we've been joined by, why don't you guys introduce yourselves so they can get a voice out there when you talk?
Good morning. This is Judge Beth Owens.
JJ Bettinger, Director of Court Services, Common Police Court.
Dave Pittman, probation.
And Carl Hunnell from the Resource is on. Not.
Correct.
And Nicole, you want to tell us what your name is, Nicole? Well, Nicole's with us today, and just if you want to ask a question, just hit the button and ask questions. We'll get it here and we'll talk with you. Okay, you're here to ask some equipment.
Yeah, thank you for having us today. A couple things come up. This came up 3 weeks ago, and we renewed the contract for the contractual services of the preventive maintenance stuff for the front door X-ray machines, and the increasing prices. It's went up significantly the last 5 or 6 years, anywhere from a 6 to 8.5% increase each year. Since 2019, it's went up $1,700 per year, and that's just a PMI, preventive maintenance thing, and service contract if something were to happen, which we've had a couple minor things like a computer board one time went out and then one control unit went out. The front door security stuff here at Main Courthouse is probably 2/3 to 3/4 end of life. It's been in service here now for 10 years. And when you, all the research I've done, when you look at life expectancies for the X-ray machines and the walk-through metal detectors and stuff like that, it's saying 10 to 14 years is the average lifespan for stuff like that. About 4 years ago, when juvenile court started their front door security program up there, is also falls under us with the same personnel. They put a whole different system in up there, and it is newer. Naturally, I mean, it was 6 years newer at the time. And basically, what we're looking at doing is wanting to replace the security equipment here at our front door to match and mirror the equipment that is also used at juvenile court. That way, you know, one thing that makes it easier for the officers that are working, there's not different machines at different places because they bounce back and forth between the two buildings, and everything is roughly the same stuff. I did obtain some pricing to replacement, and the machine we've had out front now, like I said, again, we're 10 years going on 10 years with that, and it's just getting to the point where I'm afraid that we're ending near life on it. And nearing end of life, not ending near a life, but so I'm gonna look at replacing it. And the prices I got, and if we do the continual increase of roughly 6% for the next 5 more years, maintenance contract alone, the current machine we have now is going to be roughly a little over $39,000 in the next 5 years. It's the entire unit for $38,578 is the quote I've got. I got 2 different quotes on the system. That's a new X-ray machine. That is a new walkthrough scanner, metal detector, and 2 new handheld metal detectors. Which is the same. I got 2 different quotes. One quote was the one guy that takes care of the one at juvenile court, and I gave all 3 of you guys a copy of both of these quotes. The Hamco X-ray quote came in at a little over $49,000. I found the company out of North Carolina that does the exact same equipment that came up under the same website when I searched for this type of machine, and it comes in at $38,578. So nearly $11,000 cheaper. In talking to both, I know the machine up at juvenile court, we do not have the annual maintenance contract with that we have with this one out here in the front. We still are going to be liable regardless of what we do for a yearly inspection and PMI inspection and the technical term, what they call it. Annual radiation and PMI inspections, anywhere from $1,100 to $1,300 per machine that has to be done. But that's a requirement, it has to be done annually. Well, what did we find out on that? Was it
I think it's semi-annual.
semi-annually? So basically, that's why I'm here. I obtained some quotes, looking at wanting to upgrade and advance into a newer system here at the main courthouse. I brought a judge with me today, the presiding judge. Naturally, she's in charge of our security issues, and it can more or less maybe elaborate on the importance of security in the building. I mean, as we all are aware that it is important.
Yes, I fully support this, that our current machine is 10 years old. JJ, how long did they say it would take if we were to move forward with this? How long would it take to get the system up and running?
The lead time on this one is 4 to 6 weeks, the one
Okay.
from North Carolina.
So I guess my fear would be if the current system, which is 10 years old, were to shut down and we needed an emergency, we needed to get a new system in place, we would be waiting that 4 to 6 week period of time to be able to get a new system, and what would happen during that period of time if we have a broken system. The service contracts that JJ explained to me is roughly $6,000 a year that we spend just for the service contract alone. And it's gone up each year in price by about 6 to 8%. So if we switch to the system that JJ has researched and looked into, my understanding is there would be no service contract. We would have to annually pay. So over time, the system would pay for itself by just saving the money that we now pay for the current system service contract. So I very much support updated security, the best security that we can afford. I think that this is, again, worth looking into and considering, given that we don't want our old equipment to break down and not work. Fully support it.
Question on the numbers, if I can ask. I thought, unless I misheard, the contract is 1,700 a year? And it's raising, going
No, it's went up 1,700 since 2019.
on up.
2019, it was $4,900 a year for the service contract,
This is the current?
$6,600 this year.
And you mentioned semi-annual fee.
There still is that's a fee separate of, I shouldn't say, that fee is out of that 6,600, but like a juvenile court, we just pay the, and I don't have that number for what his inspection fee is, like $1,300 for him to come and do the annual inspection. And
Twice. We're going from 6,600 down to 26. So we'd save $4,000 on that. So that would certainly help pay for this.
right, and like I said, if you look at, and I apologize, I didn't bring it with me. I had actually worked out the numbers that if it continues to go up at a 6% increase, this last year was 8.5%. If it goes up at a 6% increase every year, then in a matter of 5 years, that'd be over $39,000. So if you take off the, 10,000 or 11,000, that you'd still gonna be,
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to understand, just so I have a couple questions. All right, so what's our annual fee on this current machine out here?
$6,600.
Okay, and they do that to make sure it's running appropriately.
And if we do have an issue, then they will come up and fix it under that contract.
Okay,
Does that include all parts if they need something?
Majority of the parts, yes. Like we had a battery backup system went bad that our IT department had to provide the battery backup system because they didn't have that that's not part of their contract.
exactly where I'm going with this. So I'm just trying to understand the differences. So you're saying if we purchase this new machine at 38,578, right? There's no annual maintenance fee, or there is?
We could have one. However, both the companies I have talked to have both expressed how reliable a machine that this new one is. The guy in North Carolina has a gentleman that does their installs who was a maintenance guy for that machine that will not recommend selling any other machine than.
Well, if the taxpayers had a nickel for every time they bought a piece of electronic equipment that didn't go bad over 10 years or need a repair, the taxpayers will be very, very rich. So let's presume that over a 10-year span with this new machine, something will go wrong. Would you say something will probably go wrong?
I would say certainly go wrong.
Okay. So we know something because you said this is needed a new battery pack. I mean, it's gonna need the same type of maintenance.
It's electronics.
Right.
We've had minimal problems with the one at juvenile, right?
Had no issues with the
Yeah.
one not close. We had them come up, they did an adjustment on the walkthrough metal detector in 4 years. Cause there was
How long we had the juvenile one?
4 years.
Okay, so let's say so when they came up to fix the juvenile, did we get a bill for that?
I think the guy, I don't know if we got a bill or not. I don't have the answer to that. I could have to try to find that one out. Or whether he did it when he did his PMI.
PMI, I'm not 100% sure on that either.
There was just an issue because
That's what I'm saying, when something will go wrong and it will within 10 years, how does this company, when they come and fix it, get paid if it needs?
we would have to pay if we didn't have the contract with them.
Right, so I'm saying this $6,600 a month isn't necessarily a true representation of the savings, right?
It's not a direct,
You
it,
wouldn't know.
yeah, you're looking at,
Right, but what, I guess,
If they have to come up, then we're gonna pay them their service fee and equipment and whatever.
There's no local, so they would come up from North Carolina, right?
if we went with this company, I mean, we can go with other companies. This Hamco, they're the ones that do the juvenile court and he charges $1,300 a year for the
Twice.
PMI and the inspection. Okay,
Every other year.
Every other year. Okay, so it's only,
yeah, 600 or 700.
so it's not 2,600 a year.
Same machine, two different vendors.
okay.
Right.
So what if a battery pack goes down? Let's say we go with the Hamco machine, it's local.
Okay.
It's under the bidding threshold. It is a little more expensive, but it's in Ohio. When I say local, not Richland County, but Liberty Township. So we said we had a battery pack go bad out there,
Battery backup.
battery backup.
It's just it's a unit that the machine plugs into, that way if the power goes out.
Like what we have in our.
And that was paid, so our 6,600 covered that?
No, our IT department covered.
Okay, so what type of maintenance would be covered under the $6,600 a month agreement that we're paying now?
We had an actual computer board go bad in it one time.
Okay.
That was replaced. I cannot talk what happened before I was in this position, so I don't know the first 4.5 years.
How much,
I think one of the belts,
so who would pay, so let's say the same thing happens with a new machine, who pays for that then?
If it's in the first year, it's under warranty.
Okay, what if it's outside the first year?
you would have to,
Because it wouldn't be covered by maintenance agreement.
right?
How much does a computer board, give or take?
We're buying a new computer right now for the front door security guys for their camera system and everything. I just got a quote for that. It was like $2,000. And the other thing that we replaced one time was it has a fold down operating tray to run the buttons, and something, I forget whether that board itself, the buttons went bad on it or something. So they had to replace that. Other than that, I mean, but you know, if you figure it out.
All right, so 6,600 a year, let's say over 5 years is $33,000.
Knowing
Subtract the what is it, $1,300 every 2 years? Then so technically that gives you about $23,700 to play with should anything go wrong. You're obviously out the cost of the new equipment, but we're gonna need one at some point anyway, right?
Right. Oh, if we go with the one from North Carolina,
That's,
are we gonna pay, when they come up to fix things, are we paying from North Carolina to get here?
or do they call someone locally?
on his quote, and I would have to ask whether he sent somebody up or not, but on his quote, he did tell me that if we hired them and bought stuff through them and worked with them on it, that they would have somebody here within 36 hours if we did have an issue with it. If you look on the back page of the quote from Point Security in North Carolina, it does have a breakdown of extended warranties. He also has their annual service agreement is $4,100 a year. So it's $2,500 a year cheaper than what current one we have now. We're paying.
Do they have a hour when they'll respond? Do they say how long it'll take them to respond?
That's it.
The Ohio company?
The one we got now, I mean, they're fairly quick. Anytime we've had to call them for stuff, they're up here within a day or two. But what did we have this last time that it took a month and a half, 2 months to get the parts. I mean, we're all well aware with the air conditioning system and everything else in the building that parts are hard to get sometimes. But we had a problem for a while with this one out here and it finally got remedied, but they'd turn it on and then it all of a sudden just started beeping and it wouldn't, they have to shut it off and let power down and then sit there for a while. So, but that was good.
8 weeks to get that part in.
Yeah. I mean, that's with anything else. Now, this company, and I questioned why the price difference. Now, the company down in North Carolina, they said basically that they are a larger vendor for the company that sells the stuff, and so they buy multiple units at a time. So that might be the price difference between Hamco and Point Security. The guy from Hamco, though, he also basically is off the record says that the maintenance programs, he says he shouldn't say that, but the maintenance programs are.
That's where companies make their money.
Yeah, the machines, these machines are very high quality. And they have very few issues with them. Same way the guy down at Point Security said the same thing, that they've had very few issues with this machine.
So if we go to Point Security, do you recommend not going with the warranties?
I mean, if you look at the warranty prices, you're talking again, for, $3,500 to $4,000 a year just for an additional warranty, going back up into where you would be at if you had an annual service agreement.
So what do you prefer, the Hamco or the security?
Ultimately, I mean, either one. Point Security, I said is cheaper. As we know, necessarily cheaper isn't always better. However, we are comparing apples to apples. I actually called.
The gap though, it's 28%. That's $11,000.
I
I
did.
also don't want to be penny wise and pound foolish since they're out of state. If we do have an issue, what does that charge cost us, right?
Yeah.
But I'm not, I mean, that's,
You said they'll be up.
He said they could respond within 36 hours if we had an issue with the machine. Now,
cost though.
I don't know, and I didn't, and I apologize, I did not look into this, but I don't know that we have to go through them once we're outside the warranty. In the first year we're in the warranty, then yeah, we should go through them because that's who we bought it through. But after that, I don't know why we couldn't go to Hamco. They handle the exact same equipment and do everything else too. So
That's true.
What?
Is there any constraints by saying we only do maintenance on Hamco machines? Some places do that.
not that I know of.
No, when I talked to him, he even said that he would still do the PMI and stuff, even we bought it from a different company.
Okay.
He's fine with it.
But the annual, once we get past the first year, the annual could still be done by semi-annual, done by the guy that does juvenile court, doing both.
What was your preference? I'll ask the honor that we love seeing more than Robinson and Namoff. So,
That is for sure.
although I'm not sure that's a compliment to her, but,
It is.
but is it your preference, Your Honor, then, or do you think it makes more sense to the taxpayers that we go with Point Security then?
I think Point Security, and I know when I talked with JJ, he shared with me that Hamco, the retail value of the actual equipment, they had it above the MSRP. Versus Point had it. So if you look at the very first line item, it's a $6,000 savings with Point Security. I think so long as we can find out if we could have Hamco help in the future, I would say Point Security.
The one thing I didn't want to tell the guy from Point Security what our other quote was. I mean, I don't play that game, but I read off the Hamco quote just to make sure we're comparing apples to apples here. And I said, so we're getting the, Smith Detection HS 6040i X-ray unit. And he goes, yep, that's why I quoted you. And if you see the price difference on that. But the one that came to mind was if you go down the second page on Point, if you go further down, you've got the CEI, HIPE plus walkthrough metal detector. You look at the Hamco quote, at 4,800 and change, and you look at the Point Security is 3,900 and change. And, you're talking nearly $1,000 difference there. But just down a little bit further than that, you see a ADA compliant width for 820 meters, so it's 475 additional. And that's included on the other one, 39. So you're talking 52, almost $5,300 compared to $3,900 on that quote price. And the guy from Point Security says, so he says, let me ask you, he quotes you 4228 on the walkthrough. I'm like, no, it was higher than that. Why? He goes, 4228's MSRP price on it. He's about $600 higher than the MSRP price for the Hamco unit. So that's my only concern with, I mean, I understand I like to stay local too as best we can and stay in Ohio. We're not talking a couple $100 here. We're talking $1,000.
What do you think?
I myself like the North Carolina company that with Hamco willing after the warranty to still do our stuff since they're gonna be at juvenile court doing it. I think that's probably the best route.
JJ, is the system going to do a better job than what we have now in terms of detection?
The system we have now does adequate job.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a newer system. It's a smaller system.
That was another question. Is the system we're talking about wider, larger at all?
It's
or-
actually smaller, maybe a tad taller, but it's narrower and shorter. So that'll free up a little bit more room out.
How would it fit with all your muscles walking through?
It'll be all right.
I don't think our current walkthroughs ADA compliant. I think they have the wheelchairs go around.
Yeah.
And they scan them.
Yeah.
You'd have to ask them.
Well,
I think
part of
they
the-
have to go around.
Part of that isn't, I think they have them go around just so it's not setting the machine off with the metal detector or with the,
Right.
I'd have to look at the width of that one.
I don't know if they're, I just always see them going around.
Yeah.
And they want them, but
So how would you propose if we go, we'll ask the $1 million question, even though it's about a $36,000 question. What has probation and or what community control set aside money to pay for said new purchase equipment?
We do not have the money set aside for this.
You know, that always works when you get to this point.
wasn't planned.
Well, this,
We don't have that in our budget, you know.
we didn't budget, we also didn't budget for the 8.5% increase in the contract for the service agreement for this year.
So it sounds like we gotta reduce your budget by 36,000 and then another 8.5% for 2024 to even it out.
Good luck. If you look at my security budget
He speaks the language. They all
There
speak the
is
same like.
there,
There's a manual when they come down here to just,
Sweat.
JJ Namoff,
but no, I'm hoping and talking to, it's two different companies telling me the same thing, that this is a quality machine. Like I said, and it's backed up by what we've had at juvenile court. We've had any issues with
So,
4 years.
and a nickel for every time we heard that. Oh, well, taxpayers will be very wealthy.
I do not want to be held liable for 2 years if it
You
doesn't.
put that in the minutes, Heather, that JJ said this will pay for itself. So when he comes
I did
back
not say that.
3 years from now, well, if you recall when we came here and we're outside the warranty and.
We also are doing a couple other upgrades to the front. Like I said, we put a new computer system in for the officers to be able to use, but also
Paying for that.
we're taking out of our current budget.
Ooh.
That.
If
How about your fancy new office spaces that are gonna go downstairs? Who's paying for that?
you are,
Oh,
that's only because you're stealing, taking out space for the
we
land.
don't say steal on the record when the public's listening, by the way.
But
We repurpose
purpose,
legally.
you're kicking us out.
Yeah, but you're getting upgrades. Yeah,
I will agree.
okay.
We get windows.
Stacy, I presume we'll take this out of contingency then?
If that's what the board so wishes.
I wish.
Okay, at this time, I'll make a motion that we go with the Point Security Incorporated machine. Paid for out of contingency for a total of 38,578.00.
Want it paid out of contingency or do you want it transferred into their budget? Cause it's all the,
Let's transfer it into their budget so they can note it and
Yeah.
just keep track of it. So let's do that.
Good suggestion, Stacy.
I'll second that.
I have just one other thing it's just in the same relation to this is,
Affect this vote.
sorry,
Will affect this vote. Let's vote on it first.
no, I'm sorry.
Commissioner Banks?
Yes,
Commissioner Vero?
Yes.
Ramirez?
Yes.
go right ahead.
I-
Okay. We did just renew the service agreement for $6,600 with the company, and I know that's been sent in. We have the check sitting upstairs to send them. I don't know whether that's something that we can get out of that or cancel that service contract for the next year, or whether we want to just go ahead and let that go through for this year. The thing is, if we let it go and then we'll be spending $6,600 for the next 6 weeks.
Yeah.
Because after 6 weeks, we'll have a new system and it's covered under warranty. So that is a question, since you guys were the ones that have signed the contract with that if you guys wanted to try to get out of
Why
that.
don't you get with Cassie and or your group to see how the timing works and then get with either Andrew, Stacy to figure out how and what if we have to pay that. Let's work out the timing to make sure the machine we have now is covered. But if there's any pro rata share that we would get back or don't have to pay it, let's do that.
Yeah.
But I don't want to leave that machine vulnerable, obviously, because it's security.
On that.
Carl, do you have any questions?
Questions, but some of them actually pertain to what you've been talking about. JJ, who's the current contract with that you're going to be getting rid of?
The security contract of like the Lidos.
Yeah, I don't have, actually, I'd
I
never,
think it is Lidos. Hold on.
It's Lido.
I think I have it. Hold on.
L3 Security Detection Systems.
L3 Security.
L3 Harris, they might have changed names here. Yeah, no, I take it back. It was L3, now it's Lidos, the same company, just changed.
Yeah.
LEIDOS.
LEIDOS?
Yeah.
Okay. About how many people on an annual basis, in terms of customers of the court, come in and out of domestic relations court? Any idea of the foot traffic?
Well, out of all the courthouse here, we don't have an actual number for individual courtrooms or anything, but the actual, this is the front door security system. So we roughly have a little over 100,000 people a year come through the front doors of this building.
Carl, I heard the security people out front. It reads the number, how many went through?
Yeah, we track
Said
about,
141 came through by about 9:30 this morning.
yeah.
Jury selection.
You know, Carl, sometimes we have dual juries upstairs, of course, with probation foot traffic through the door, and we have two different jury pools coming in on top of the normal everyday traffic through domestic and probate courts, and then the admin part of the building. You know, there will be days, especially during tax time, when we have people coming in the treasurer's office to pay property taxes, we'll have 600, 700, 800 people a day come through that front door.
Okay, so maybe I was misunderstanding. This system is for the front door of the courthouse?
Yes, front door system,
Okay.
yes.
Okay. Since you had the judge there for a minute, I was thinking this was just to get in and out of her court. So thanks for clarifying that for me.
No, the courthouse, since the courthouses or the courtrooms fall within the administrative building, the judges are in charge of the security plans for the security of this and juvenile court. So they're the ones in the judges, the presiding judge this year over the 5 common pleas court judges. So she's in charge of everything.
Okay.
And JJ, while you're here, could you please explain to Carl the importance of having cameras in the elevators, since he was a funny man and wanted to know why we were putting cameras in the elevators?
You know, I would like to point out that the commissioner thinks questions from the media are sometimes funny things when you ask questions.
Oh, but I
that's
mean,
okay.
it would make sense, let our security expert, and we also have our probation department in this building as well, why it's important to have cameras in the elevators.
Well, before he answers, let me preface by saying the first reaction was, you're not allowed to know that. So you know, that's the kind of
Oh, but
response
since you're
I get from
asking, we're gonna
Commissioner
explain, we're
Barron.
not spying on people. It is a very important piece to the total security package of this building.
Yeah, Carl, if I could though, the idea of having cameras in the elevators, anytime we have an incident inside the building, we like to be able to track that person from the time they come in the building to the time they leave. And naturally, I mean, private areas, restrooms and certain offices don't have cameras in them, but all the public areas do, including the elevators. We've had incidents before where we've had, especially with domestic court, we've also had it with the general division criminal courts, where you have a victim that is on the elevator. Next thing you know, you have the offender get on the elevator with them, and and, you know, stuff happens. Or you have a soon to be ex husband and wife are now arguing and fighting in the elevator. Well, you know, we want to try to have documentation of all of that throughout the entire building from the time they come in to the time they leave, and the perimeter of the building even. So it's just more of a safety purpose that way. In the event that, you know, we were to have an incident in the building, we like to know where everybody's at. So, you know, certain individuals have access to the camera systems, in my office, in the sheriff's office, the IT departments, to where if we were to have an incident somewhere in the building, we'd be able to look and see, okay, this person is now here, or that person just got off on the second floor out of the elevator or something like that.
Thank you.
JJ, thank you very much for a reasoned response, which is more than I usually get from the commissioner sitting to your left.
Cliff, for you to do as well.
With a project like this, and I guess this might be for the commissioners, is this something that needed to be bid, or is the amount level low enough that you don't need to seek bids for this other than kind of JJ checking around to see who's out there?
The latter, it's well below the bid threshold.
Very good. That's what I needed. Thank you all very much.
Nicole, do you have any questions? And we still didn't get your last name, Nicole. Okay. Well, thank you very much for coming in.
Thank you,
It was
Commissioner.
good to see.
Thank you.
Favorite judges.
Thank you. Good to see you.
I'll look into that contract thing and see what
Nice.
we can do.
Good work, JJ. Good job.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Bye. Thank you. I'll communicate with Cassie. JJ, I'll communicate with Cassie on the transfer.
Okay.
It is
Now,
10:01.
rest of this week,
And can I get a motion to go in executive session to discuss negotiations?
So move.
Second.
Is there any action planned at the end of this one?
No,
No, but we just got other after that.
Okay.
Commissioner Banks,
Commissioner Banks.
Yes.
Barrow,
Yes.
Commissioner Pierce.
Yes.
Dave.
Okay, we've come out of executive session with no action taken, and now we'll move on to other. And can we certify the record of proceedings for August the 13th?
So moved.
Second.
Commissioner Banks,
Yes,
Commissioner Rivera,
Yes.
Commissioner Years.
Yes.
okay. And we approve the requisitions?
So moved.
Second.
Commissioner Banks,
Yes,
Commissioner Rivera,
Yes.
Commissioner Mears.
Yes.
and can we approve the weekly transfers and appropriations?
So moved.
Second.
Banks.
Yes,
Pharaoh.
Yes.
And Mears.
Yes.
okay, and can we accept the quote from the Standard Plumbing for $6,050 compressor repair at People's Building?
Hey, that's $6,600 a year we're gonna save on the metal detector covers that, so moved.
Get it and then you. Second.
Commissioner Banks.
Yes,
Commissioner Rivera,
Yes.
Commissioner Mears.
Yes.
anything else to come before the board? Hearing nothing is, Carl's not out there, is he? Is he? Carl, you got any questions?
No, I don't. Have a good rest of the weekend.
Thank you, you too. Is Nicole still with us? Nicole, you got any questions? Okay. Hearing none, we'll just adjourn at 10:22.
Asked by Maureen Collins.
Oh.